So that leads into our next question with, what is the difference, Ron, between evidence-based and research-based curriculum?
My working definition is research-based means that you actually did research. It's built upon research. It's factual in nature. Give you an example. How many calories are in 1 gram of fat? 9. Okay, that to me, that's factual. Until they tell me that differently, that's what I believe. And carbs and protein are 4. So 5 for Life is definitely research-based. We did not go into this making stuff up. I went back and got my CSDS through the National Strength and Conditioning Association because I wanted to ensure that if I was teaching movement to kids, specifically load-bearing movement, I do not mean squats with a bar on your back, but squats with body weight, that it was biomechanically correct, right? When we went into teaching goal setting or skeletal system, any of those content areas that are found within quality physical education and in our state standards, we went back to resources that we could say, this is based on research. This is factual. Now, that's the way 5 for Life started. It wasn't until, I want to say, the mid-2000s, in maybe 2007, 8, that we started having a lot of people say, where's the evidence for this? And so we had research done. We didn't have it done. It was done on behalf of us, not behalf of us, but they wanted this for a research project from Old Dominion University. And Shihaz Zhu did research along with Justin, and I'm drawing a blank on his last name. I'm sorry, Justin, but I will think of it. Justin Hagel. I knew I'd get it, just had to go a little deeper. And they actually showed that 5 for Life was evidence-based, that it actually did what it purported to do, which was got kids to understand and be fit and healthy. Now, again, that's all today. Now, what happens 10 years from now, I don't know. I mean, kids could give up on it, but we taught them the content, and that's what 5 for Life does. So to me, 5 for Life is research-based in its development, and it's now shown to be evidence-based, which I think is a win-win for everybody. Now, if you say that we're teaching content, you do it in a way in which makes sense with kids, which is in small little micro chunks through movement, which again was abnormal back in the early 2000s. We thought we had to sit kids down and talk at them. That's not how anybody learns. There's a reason why I fell asleep in church every single Sunday I went to it, because it's just too much sitting. That's why we stand up and sit down and stand up and sit down, to keep people like me from falling asleep. Our brains don't work that way. So that's the same way in which we teach the content through 5 for Life, is in small chunks and get people to know it.
Yeah, so Ron, everything you say is you're speaking our language as well, but it goes outside of our health and PE lens, right? We need classroom teachers to understand this as well. They need to understand the value of getting their kids up and moving, because it's medicine for their kids. And that's what we tell them. You're giving them little movement medicine breaks throughout the day by getting them on their feet, something unrelated to what they may have just learned, but their brain's processing what they just learned. But give them some movement, some exercise to fire up that brain, to release that BDNF that you know about as well. Let's keep fueling that brain and get it growing with those neural connections. So everybody can benefit from this. It's not just a health and PE teacher's job anymore.
Yeah, and then Ron, I want to add more about the evidence-based and research-based curriculums. And this is mainly for our viewers and listeners. When you are selecting curriculum, or you're being tasked, a district is being tasked to select a curriculum or curriculums for health and PE. Many of our listeners or viewers may not know that one of the requirements is that the curriculums must be evidence-based or research-based. So you can't just go out and buy or use any curriculum unless it is research-based or evidence-based. And just recently, federal funding is going to be released to school districts where only evidence-based programs are going to be allowed to be used. So I am cautious, because I'm like, research-based curriculums are just as good. Until then, you hopefully a institute like Old Dominion may do a research study to prove the anticipated outcomes that are real, so that they can stamp evidence-based to that curriculum. But to our viewers and listeners, that's why a lot of our school districts can't just say, why can't we do this curriculum? Why don't they do this? A lot of times look to see if it's evidence or research-based. So I appreciate, and I think you're spot on with your answer. So thank you.